Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. I'm going to give you a pretty thorough overview of the article here. There is a link in the description, but I'm going to give myself a bit of a disclaimer here. I don't want to be sued, so I'm going to say that I am a layman. I am providing the full link to the full article. I'm just giving my rough interpretation. Any errors that I make are unintentional, and I might well make multiple unintended errors. I recommend every viewer to go and do their own research to verify anything that it is that I say or suggest as a layman. So back to the subject to represent it as best I can. This is in regards to the world's largest meat manufacturer, meat processor. That is a company called JBS. JBS, I believe, are an American company. They've got multiple sites, multiple facilities across America. I would guess, I am guessing, but I would guess dozens, perhaps even hundreds of meat processing plants around America. That would be my guess. Could be incredibly wrong. But I do know that they have a large presence in Australia, and I would guess that they have a large presence in multiple countries around the world. But certainly they are the world's largest meat processor, JBS. Now, as many large corporate companies do, these guys use subcontracting firms, and they choose to use subcontracting firms to handle the cleaning of their machinery. Of course, these are meat processors, meat processing plants, slaughterhouses. They have big, scary, loud, noisy, dangerous machinery everywhere. They've got, all kinds of machinery for cutting, grinding, moving, whatever it is, boiling, stewing. They got a lot of machinery, okay? So these guys could hire their own internal staff to handle the machinery, but they choose, according to this article, as far as I understand, they choose to utilize a subcontracting company called PSSI. This is the subcontracting cleaning company. PSSI stands for, what does it stand for? Packers Sanitation Services. And this company, Packers Sanitation Services, has been found, after receiving multiple tip-offs, has been found employing children. That's right, children, in order to work cleaning their equipment, or the equipment of JBS. Children have been hired. By the way, that's illegal in America. Might be legal in third world countries, but it's illegal in America. Children as young as 13, actually the age range is between 13 and 17, more than 30 children have been found to be working for the cleaning subcontracting company's Packers Sanitation Services at the JBS meat plants, cleaning the dangerous powered equipment. Now, why are we going through the details? Not only because that's illegal in and of itself, but because seemingly at least one, I mean, my interpretation from the article, I don't think it spells it out. Perhaps it does. Perhaps I've missed that point. But it's seemingly several of these children have suffered caustic chemical burns. These are dangerous jobs. And people that do these jobs ought to be rewarded adequately. And these companies, whether it be the company itself, the corporation that owns the meat plants, that owns the dangerous equipment, or any other subcontracting firm, really ought to be extremely careful to ensure that whomever is tasked with working in any way, shape, or form with these dangerous powered equipment, that they're given full training, that they have the adequate experience, the adequate training, the adequate qualifications even. And that has not occurred. Children as young as 13 have been working with these dangerously powered equipment at these meat plants in Nebraska and Minnesota. And at least one of them, if I understand correctly, several have suffered caustic chemical burns. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company concerned, or rather I can't really tell you too much about the subcontracting company. I mean, this is like, no one would have ever heard of this company, PSSI. It's not a common company. You know, if you're in the industry, sure, you'll be aware of them, no doubt. They've got a professional image, perhaps there, but it's certainly been tainted by this situation. But you will be aware of JBS, or rather, you will be aware of their multiple different brands. So they're entitled to have different brands for their different range of products, and they do have several that you might be aware of. So I'm just going to read out a couple of them, a few of them. Certified Angus Beef, Pilgrims, Swift, 1855, Country Pride, Clear River Farms, Moya, Savaro. These are all brands of this company, JBS. To be sure, there's the logo for JBS. To be sure, as far as I understand, the 30 plus children that were working within the meat plants of JBS, which is the world's largest meat processing company, as a company worldwide, they slaughter more than 13 million animals a day. They make $50 billion a year. The children weren't working directly for JBS, as far as I understand. Apologies if I have that incorrect. My understanding is the children were working for this subcontracting company, PSSI. And PSSI say, oh no, we're extremely careful. You know, we don't want to hire children. We don't want to hire 13-year-olds. We don't want to risk them getting serious chemical burns from the powerful cleaning chemicals that we use. No, we wouldn't want to do that. We're extremely careful in vetting those children, people that we hire. That's what PSSI have said in a statement, pretty much. They say they use biometric testing in order to protect against hiring someone that isn't of adequate and legal age. However, such testing seems to have failed them. PSSI. And now, why am I covering this topic? Not only is it because laws have been broken, that's not the only reason. It is a crime. Not only is it because multiple children, if I understand correctly, have suffered serious, severe caustic chemical burns due to the chemicals that they were working with at the age of 13 to 17. Not only is it about that, but it's just Also because I am annoyed. This is coming from a company which makes $50 billion a year. That's what we just read, yeah? They make $50 billion per year. They're the world's largest meat processing company. Okay, now I need to clarify once more that JBS themselves weren't the direct employers of the children, but they were utilizing this company, this subcontracting company. And this subcontracting company thought it would be wise to risk themselves to legal action from the state, from individuals. I don't know what too much about law, but from civil suits and whatever, just to save some dollars. I mean, they've got $50 billion floating around in this business. Yeah. Can't you pay the 13-year-olds a little bit more? Or, I'm being a little bit facetious there. Can't you just be a little bit more careful about who you hire? I guarantee the 13-year-olds were not being paid a lot of money. They were being paid whatever the hourly rate happens to be, but it will be a low hourly rate, something that only a 13-year-old would accept. Yeah? I don't know. That's a guess, but it's an educated guess, and it's probably right. So these guys here, PSSI, in my guess, could be incredibly wrong, my sheer speculation, they were not paying a fair market wage for somebody to go to work at these plants, working with caustic chemicals, working with dangerous processing equipment, which they wouldn't fully understand all the details of the equipment. Perhaps they wouldn't need to, but, there are dangers there, both in the equipment and the chemicals that they're working with. I guarantee this company, PSSI, let me backtrack, I do not guarantee, I suspect, that they were not paying an adequate wage in order to be able to secure properly experienced, properly trained personnel that were happy to do that. So they did what they did, which is get whatever they could get for the pittance that they were looking to offer, in my estimation. So that annoys me. A $50 billion company, and through a subcontractor, 13-year-old kids are getting paid a pittance in all likelihood to risk and actually suffer caustic chemical injuries. It's disgusting. Now, another part which angers me, another reason why I've chosen to make a video on this subject, is because quite often there's a lot of hoo-has in the media. This reason, that reason. You know, political. People get cancelled all the time. Some guy on YouTube makes a joke or makes a comment. Other people take offense at it. It's bigoted. It's racist. It's misogynist. Whatever it is. People get cancelled. Now, I might be mixing things up a little bit here. Electronic Arts, EA, the video game company, they do something wrong. They put in microtransactions in their game. Everyone gets on their high horse. Not everyone, but a lot of gamers or whatever. Protest. They boycott. People were boycotting Kellogg's, weren't they? A couple of years back. You know, for whatever they were doing. Can't remember the details. A lot of companies are boycotted. And I'm not a strong supporter of boycotts. I'm not a strong supporter of most forms of activism. But to be honest with you, if I was to support some activism, I would most definitely support it against these guys. This is a dreadful, dreadful situation. And I expect, again, I'm tempted to say guarantee, my guess, which will inevitably turn out to be right, is this is going to get minimal coverage. This whole subject will get minimal coverage. There'll be some greenies. There'll be some vegans, vegetarians that make a hoo-ha about this. But by and large, this is going to be brushed over. Oh, boo-hoo, a $50 billion a year company broke a law, whatever. Yeah, people aren't going to focus on this. And I think that's a shame. I think if people are going to be boycotting this and, you know, you're going to be gluing your hands to Van Gogh photo paintings, you know, you're going to do all of these ridiculous activism. You're going to plant yourself in the middle of a busy highway for the sake of insulation, whatever it is. There's all of these kind of different protests going on left, right, and center. You want to wear a pink hat and block the roads of New York, block the roads of Los Angeles for the whole day. Have hundreds of thousands of people protesting, #MeToo, whatever it is. I don't know. To me, this is worthwhile of protest. Hey, guys that make $50 billion every fucking year, how about you don't hire how about you don't use companies that hire 13-year-olds to do dangerous jobs? How about you don't do that, you fucking assholes? How about you pay decent wages to attract decent staff? How about you put in procedures and processes and security measures to ensure that nobody, adult or child, suffers from severe caustic chemical burns? How about that? You've got $50 billion to play with, guys. Give these people the adequate reward. Give these people the adequate safety that they require to be able to do their job without having to tap into 13-year-olds, without having to expose them to the risk of caustic chemical burn. So I'm pretty annoyed by this subject. So as we said, I've not really gone through too many details, but there was a tip-off in August about the company PSSI, about teens working in 3 different slaughterhouses. Warrants were executed to access both the plants and the company's offices. They identified violations of the FLSA, which prohibits children from working for more than 3 hours during school days, overnight, and from operating motor vehicles, forklifts, and using other hazardous equipment. The youths had to perform hazardous work cleaning industrial power-driven slaughtering and meat processing equipment on the kill floors of meat packing and slaughtering facilities in the middle of the night. I mean, this is really fucking disgusting. Look, I'm going to tell you something. And I know, by the way, no one's listening at this point. I got my first job when I think I was either 8 years of age. If I wasn't 8, I was 9 or 10. I used to open a local pet shop store on my way to school before I caught the bus, or I think I actually walked all the way. No, I thought I caught a bus. I'd open this local shop. I had the keys to the shop. I opened it up. I brought out all of the stock, arranged it at the front of the shop. And I can't remember what I did with the keys. I just kept the keys because they had their own. I locked it. I did this like about 8 o'clock in the morning, and then the owner or the worker would come in at 9 and they'd open it themselves. But I did that when I was like 8. I think I was 8. Beyond that, I used to have a summer job when I was 12. I used to work in a hotel when I was 14. I used to work full-time hours. That was illegal. When I was 14, I worked in a hotel. I've worked as a child, and I've worked illegally as a child for several years over several holidays. But never in these dangerous situations, and never for a company which makes $50 billion a year. So anyway, like I said, this is a bit of a different article than I typically go over. I've made this one heck of a rant. If this has been interesting, if you like the approach, just let me know. Give me a bit of a support. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. If you feel that other people that you know might appreciate this coverage, please do share the video as you see fit. And again, I do feel that this is a subject which could do with more coverage, more awareness than it's going to get. This is going to be brushed under the carpet, brushed under the meat processing plant, and forgotten about. And so at least I've done my part. Thanks.